matchup between TSM and GenG.
All right, well, we are just about ready to jump into things. We'll take a look at the agent compositions. You can see you've got the Omen, Jet, Cypher, Sova, and Phoenix play coming in from TSM. The Phoenix going to be, of course, none other than Drone. And Cutler's on the Sova, Hazed on the Cypher. Again, TSM constantly on the agent role juggle. Sean picking up the Reyna here, which I love to see. He'll also play as the Sova from time to time, but I really like the way that Sean plays that role. Here they go fast towards the C site. They've already met with Sabrosa, who's found two from around the default box. The Cyber Cage is up and gives them a bit of cover, but there's the heal coming in for the Reyna. Still on site is Hazed, able to pick off one before being traded out by Guimon. And it's going to result in a 2-on-3 numbers advantage for TSM as they come in on the retake. Shock Dart comes into position, but won't interrupt the plant. So the spike will go down. And again, it's down to 2. There's the Aldrone going in first, spawning away positions. You've got Guimon very low on HP, just 9 hit points, trying to survive. Down goes his teammate, it's all up to Guimon, and there's just no way. TSM retake the site with 3 surviving and a masterful pistol round.
He couldn't hold his ground. So that's going to be the round coming in for TSM. It's going to be an upgraded round for TSM too. We don't really see them trying to keep up with the Ghosts. They're already going with the Spectres. And they're looking to play for some map control towards long A to start things off. They're leaving C. Look how passive C is. They didn't even put trap wires in the main, like C main that they want to. It all goes down towards the C site in case people are trying to push further into the site for C. So whilst wanting to play retake for C, they're really putting a lot of pressure towards his mid side in A.
That Shock Dart, had it gotten around the corner through the doorway, might have resulted in a kill. There's Hayes playing close. Great paranoia to open it up as well. A little extra staying power compliments of the flash, and Hayes as the Cypher popping off in Garage currently. Wants another one as well as Mikael is around the corner. The classic though will result in his demise, as does
the defense of the map. The paranoia combined with the Spectre was good enough to just hold GenG in their tracks to try to take control of this Garage. But now they don't really mind actually going for a lower buy, for example, for Hayes having to go with a Bulldog here and Spectres at the keep in the previous round, just because they have that op in the hands of Wardell. And look at how it's pushed up so aggressively from Sabrosa though. So Wardell's going to take control of this Garage. Sabrosa pushes up towards that window side, but as they don't find any opposition, they decide to turtle back and play more passively. But now they're going to keep GenG guessing. Are they going to keep playing aggressively towards its mid side? So they're pushing him towards A, where we have a great position from Drone at long C. Or long A, sorry.
So much for great positions. Wins like a bloodhound, and he sniffs out the play. Cutler around the corner with just a Spectre doesn't really stand a chance against the dynamic force that has been Sean, especially when playing as the Reyna. And at this point, I can see the benefit of a save coming in, potentially. You've got great positioning coming out for GenG. It's all 5 players left alive, and they're not moving. So you can kind of see they're just setting up for exit. Sabrosa's waiting to see if someone's going to updraft or port up into the window with the shadow step from the Omen. You've got Wardell watching the flank from B, and you've got Cutler now watching the flank from C. This is designed to manage to keep the operator in the hands of Wardell for the next round. And that's the right call. I mean, there's just not really much of a chance for them to get back into the site. So it's the first round on the board for GenG of a fantastic read from Quinn.
Yeah, you see the positioning of where they died as well for TSM, right? As they did a great job pushing GenG towards TSM towards the A side. The thing is, they pulled bonus round that they had on a previous round. So we'll see what happens into this one here for TSM as they finally have that firepower. Still has some small shields here and there, but it starts off very aggressively with Wardell pushing up towards this long A. And I'm sure at this point, Drone would probably fall back at some point to help out Soares or help out towards the B side.
That deep cam doesn't give away the position as Wardell was not pushed up quite enough. So the early play still being advanced upon over on long A. You've got that Jet holding the op, holding the line. Might have a shot on the Cypher. There it is. So you can see player 1 picked off by the Jet of Wardell. That aggressive play finally pays off. So it's GenG now operating at a player disadvantage. All that spam through the Cyber Cage is so close. Doing a little bit of damage. He's hitting him shot after shot in the leg. Getting hit by the tripwire though. The Jet's on the site. There's the Leer coming out from Sean, but it doesn't really help too much, as Hayes didn't even see it. Wardell on site trying to survive a little while longer. Dashing around, did manage to find 3, but Quinn is there to save the day. It's all up to Drone. The 1v2. Can the Phoenix manage to make this one work? First kill's there, on the money, but not enough against Sean.
Inside the C side. You saw that when Huynh actually bursted into the site with the tailwind, he got caught by both of them. They could technically wallbang him at that point, but he didn't have that much support after that to move into C. So when he tried to go for that wide swing for the kill, he got spotted from the owl drone. We had another attacker that moved in from the garage side, and that's it. But now this round, though, it's going to be Wardell with 2 kills with the Phantom Eyes, but then it's traded off finally by Mikael.
Great play from Wardell with the ult, making the most out of those knives. Zabroza just can't quite get the timing right. Mikael is waiting and patient as ever. Cutler now holding on to the Odin. Do you know what sound it makes? By any chance? I'm told it makes a specific sound. It doesn't look like we're going to get to find out, as it's going to be a play towards C, and Cutler's all the way across the map, and that's the right call at this point. Hang back, give them the round, potentially find something else of value if you don't want to bring the Odin back into the next round. But we all know how much Sovas love the Odin on this map.
Yeah. Definitely a strong weapon choice, but at the same time, even better, as Cutler gets the upgrade for the operator that they dropped on that previous round that went into the hands of Huynh, that actually was traded back by Wardell at that point from, again, aggressive pushes towards the A side that really works out in their favor. So they're really holding back GenG here on rifle rounds on this A side, where we see a lot of success from GenG pushing into C side. But now that they're going to have Sova with Cutler, but I guess he had the Odin in that previous round, I was going to say he's going to use it towards that garage. But at least the economy is correct for TSM.
Pog slide spam in chat. Do you think it's going to be GenG? I want to see some cat jams up and down in the chat. We are ready to kick off yet another buy round here. Moving into round number 6. The ult gets popped right off the bat. That's Mikael sending pulses out with the Hunter's Fury. And he's got the dart going out as well. He did send some damage down range. Yep. As one pulse connected. Cutler now using the owl drone, looking, searching, and hoping to find a target to sink a dart into. Sean backs off just enough that that won't be possible. Now you've got Wardell up on top with a big box in B site, so if anyone makes a play towards mid, there's Wardell with the shots in the off, and of course the ever so dastardly escapability. Here comes the play though towards the A site. There's the ult being casted by the Omen. That gives them full site control. And they're going to try to get back in, but this is going to be tough. It's a 5-on-5 retake on the A site.
I'm assuming they still have a Paranoid to work with, but Wardell is going to be the one that's going to open it up. So he gets the kill onto player 1. That's a camera down, so that's information denied on this attempt of hold for GenG inside the site. Wardell continues with the second kill, and they're going to get ready to go for this push right now, but it seems as though they have Huynh that's trying to push back forward, and he gets punished by Hayes. So this is going to be huge right now for TSM. Looking to be a flawless retake so far, as the hand comes out, the last 2 get spotted, and that is going to be Mikael saying, look, you know what, you guys take the round. We'll make it 3-3. I'll save my weapon into the next, but TSM just had a beautiful execution on the retake.
Yep. GenG realizes that the site's been lost, and Mikael bails out. Fantastic retake from TSM, all things considered. That should have been so much harder than it actually was. The neural theft certainly helped, giving away positions of players on the site. The buy will come in yet again. Huynn's got enough cash. Does he go for the op purchase, though? It seems like there's some potential trepidation when it comes to making that big purchase. It's been really interesting to watch the op evolve over the last several weeks, seeing how it's gone from being a guaranteed purchase on a jet to almost seldom used on the attack, but it looks like Huynn's going to stick with a pistol, dropping a rifle over to a teammate and then pulling out the Blade Storm. So it will be the knives that lead things in for Huynh.
They are looking to press on the other side of the map to start things off here, Bach. They actually do have Wardell pushing forward this time towards C with support from Zabroza. And Zabroza, with what he has, could still shadow step through the trap wires and go for a big flank if they want to. But they play the angles instead. They're looking for a big push inside B.
Hayes in an interesting position as Huynh flies through the dark cover and gets vertical as well with the updraft. Makes it difficult to spot him. And the spike will be planted. Now, Zabroza does have a flank play, but oh no, the timing almost worked out so well for player 1. Zabroza, though, has them in a really good spot as Mikael is watching the flank. The retake is already underway on the site. Now it's all up to Mikael yet again. It's not going to happen. Well played as drones run it back. Finally fades. 10-2 for Wardell at the top of the scoreboard for TSM.
And when they beat Sentinels, it was like, what, a 13-4, 13-6. They didn't give Sentinels that many rounds either, so they played superbly versus them. But right now, versus TSM, it's still going to stay very, very close, though. It's been back and forth throughout this whole half, and it's going to be them trying to work towards this A site to start. Just before we go for the execution, though, that's what I mentioned before. We saw Sabrosa went for that flank, and that trapwire is still up there on that minimap, so he probably took that shadow step, and when nobody from GenG worried about the flank, that's how they got the retake.
Yet again, it's that sort of passive playstyle from TSM on this A site. They feel comfortable playing retake. We've seen them play aggressive, but they've already retaken the A site once before. The spike, it started to get planted, but then changed positions and has gone to the corner after molly damage. And shock darts came through and dropped a little bit of extra HP chunking away from that Cypher. And now the spike's been planted, and again, it's retake time for TSM. First flash comes out from the Phoenix. That's drone. Wardell now just behind with the op. Sabrosa again on the back end of the play. Getting things set up to port past the tripwire without going a little bit too far into the vision of Guimon, who's holding currently in the sewers. Finally, action starts to happen, and it's going to be GenG coming out on top of almost all the exchanges. Cutler, who's trying to come in, has somehow turned it back around and brought it to a 2-on-3, but the time is a problem. And the rip card's already been pulled. You can see Cutler has escaped to spawn, and Wardell will do the same.
Knows that Sabrosa is going to be lurking at some point, and he was able to win that battle. That was probably that key round, that if Sabrosa actually got that kill, was going to be that green light for TSM to push in again, just like when they did that retake on that B side. So with that, though, it's a tied up 4-4, and they're still trying to press forward on this long C for Wardell. And GenG deciding for these few rounds, the past few rounds, every single time had read things correctly, where they're like always going towards the opposite round of where the pressure comes. But that out drone's going to give out their position, and drone peeks out, but he's only good for one. Traded off by Mikael as they're pushing inside the site. Going to be hard for Hayes to hold it off. He gets paranoid, but still gets the kill on the win. As now through the cyber gate, gets the second one, and a third one up to GMD at the graffiti.
I know
Player
exactly
one is
where
going to be
you
just the
are.
last man standing. Kind of a neuro theft. You know, it's not wasted in the eyes of TSM because they just want to make sure that they secure the round, and it's going to be PL1 trying to save his weapon for the rest.
Player one does get a nice pick off there onto Sabrosa, and with the time being what it is, there's the neural theft coming through. And feeling pretty confident to go for that peek, hoping to catch Wardell off guard. Sean and player one both on sheriffs. Very difficult round, but with the way they've gained access to that A site, if they were able to get back onto the site and at least get a spike plant out, that would be huge.
Ooh, I was going to say, that's a missed cyber cage. That could have been an easy kill there for Wardell, but he lets one slip through, and that's going to be Mikael that's going to drone out the site. With that, though, they're still not pushing forward because they're looking for control inside Garage, where Win gets the pick on the Hayes. That's huge right now.
Finn now getting an upgrade. Cutler picks off player one with the Hunter's Fury. There's a paranoia coming out. They dash out onto the site. Quinn's managed to make it up. There's one right to his right. This is so awkward. But Sabrosa just sticks around and waits, and oh, that's perfect. Well played from Sabrosa, and they just never spotted him. Great paranoia coming out, but it actually goes just wide of Guimon, who will now tap that spike and try to bait out some shots. The Phantom in the hands of Guimon. He's got 45 seconds on the clock to work with. 1 point away from his ult too, so a kill here could be massive. He's able to pick off one of them, but the one taking point currently is Wardell watching that door, so Guimon's actually wise in his shuffle away from Garage. Looks like he'll be repositioning towards B.
It's crazy how they group right now. You have one watching the C entrance in case Mikael is pushing that area. That's Drone. You have one that's watching towards the garage door. That's going to be Wardell. And then you kind of have Cutler helping them out and at the same time watching towards that B lane. So that means it's going to be an easy and open site here for
10 seconds left.
Add 300 credits for the rest of the team. What I liked at least from TSM was Sabrosa's play. Just a small mistake from GenG that ended up being super costly, where you capitalized on 2 kills for Sabrosa and didn't allow them to get a plant. So let's see if GMD could get this clutch.
Shadows traveling.
Yeah.
Again, looking at that top of the scoreboard, unmatched currently in the performance. Wardell looking fantastic. but it's a team effort from GenG that's producing the success. Now, Deep Cyber Cage does allow Hwin to get up into position, but Wardell is holding, and apparently he does miss. Running back is popped, and Hwin can't quite get away, but at least the kill came through, so not too much to be concerned with. As again, it's pressure towards the A site where we've seen GenG find success many times in the past.
Still a great denial to start things off, though. The run it back from drone gets canceled. And also the owl drone, the recon owl that came up towards sewers, kind of gave his position away from that short A, so they have to turn back a lot here for TSM. So you get a lot of ground advantage for GenG if you really want to try to push into the site. But it looks like they're second-guessing themselves, and they're going to try to lurk back towards this B side. The thing is, though, we have Sabrosa pushed all the way up towards C, so they really could just play a fast rotate from this A side to B, where the information was really going to come in from Hayes right now. Camera inside garage is going to give a lot, and also a trap wire on the right side. So that's how he's playing those two angles on his own.
30 seconds left.
GenG, again, falling back and beginning a recommitment towards A. One of the slower plays that we've seen from GenG so far. Hwin's going to drop the smoke down and try to push on through. The ult being popped does allow the Omen to get into heaven,
left.
but they've still got Phoenix in hell. You've got drones still on site, but they didn't even see him somehow not spotted, and everything falls apart. A flawless round from TSM.
Able to go back through a full teleportation with the ultimate and still get the backstab kill on the plat carrier. That allowed just TSM to get another big win off the back of Sabrosa on a flank.
Get out of my way!
Sabrosa hiding in that dark cover, gonna refresh. There's that Hunter's Fury coming out. Sabrosa though misses that first target and then opens up an opportunity. Hwin goes down in the fly-in attempt, but Sean is there to at least take care of that. Oh man, Sean through the cyber cage, able to find one more Cutler. Almost got into that corner, trying to survive now. Shock dart coming out, is it enough? No. Player one somehow escapes that ball of lightning as he ducks into the corner. Cutler on 5 HP, but look at the aggression elsewhere. Drone has pushed through the garage, and he's getting a little risky. Curveball goes up, it goes too high, it actually hits the top of the door frame, it doesn't go around the corner. Flame wall coming in, so the flame wall will at least protect him, sort of. As they try to push through it, Drone somehow picks up that second kill. We're down to now 2 against 2, and a player on each side. Heavily scratched up, you've got Cutler, who's scuffed, sitting on 5 HP.
30 seconds
and
left.
On the opposite side, you've got player one, who's not looking too much better. Wardell is across the map, playing a different portion altogether. As the push goes towards that C site, you'll see Sean and his teammate, player one, trying to secure the spike.
Yeah, I thought Drone was dead to rights after that blaze wall, and even on top of that, the recon dart, but he's just fast. The reaction time was amazing there for his point. Now it has to be a 2 versus 2 where you have to play a retake no matter what. Position's going to be given away as Cutler breaks that trap wire, but he's looking to go for that individual play just before he was trying to deny that plant, but now that it's planted, he's just going to wait for Wardell to come. So let's see if they can do it. The advantage definitely comes in for GenG right now with the position that they have on the post plant.
Cutler. In a tough scenario with just 5 HP, going to put a lot of pressure on Wardell. There's the deep dart going in, does give away at least one of their positions. As they try to work their way in, they'll take out the ham first. It's down to Cutler now against Sean. Sean looking for the ace with just 5 HP. He doesn't stand a chance. Sean with a massive ace to deliver. I mean, that play from Drone was huge there. It almost set them up, but it wasn't quite enough. Back into the action we go as the second half commences. TSM on the attack, trying to gain access to the B site. Hwin does some decent damage, sticks around a little too long, and Guimon not able to best Wardell in the fight. However, they're going to be moving over towards C, so they get that B control, and they're going to split towards the C site instead. There's a gap in the cloud burst that allows a little bit of damage to be dealt. Player one just keeps tapping, and eventually Wardell kind of wanders into it. And it'll give GenG a little bit of a leg up, but they still have the disadvantage. It's a 4-on-3. The spike's been planted by TSM.
This is a really big strat. They had to come up huge with the kills in their front, but let's see the retake attempt from GenG as they're all grouped up towards the spawn side. The first one to beat to get information, it is going to be Hayes. Wide swing as Mikael punishes him for that. Now he spots a couple more, but his teammates blocked him to start things off, and player one gets picked in the face just behind. And that is going to leave now Sean on a 2 versus 1 with the clock still ticking on that spike. He's trying to move forward, switch it to the Ghost, but you could tell that it's pretty much over at this point. When the spike is planted all the way back there, it's GG. A nice round coming in for TSM. It is going to be 8-5.
GenG, a little bit of an investment. You've got Sean with the Sheriff, a frenzy for win. The rest of the team, though, on Classics. So it could be a 9th round coming in here from TSM unless they make some massive mistakes. I like the aggressive play coming out from GenG, and it's been left unchecked. Now, Wardell is here, but Wardell doesn't really have the firepower you would want, given what's happening currently. Wardell's holding just a Ghost. He does have full armor, at least, but things could get ugly real fast here for Wardell. There's the smoke coming in, but he's just prepared, too aware of what's coming that direction. Needs some backup, though. The Cloudburst comes out at a bad time, but it's Drone.
He only got 1 kill. That 1 kill was important enough to let his teammates know and give him time to rotate too. Because as they're walking out from that window side to try to kill him, he's still staying alive with the Cloudburst and allowing Drone to come back. If he died first, it would have definitely been TSM in a pickle because that spike was right next to them on that ledge at A, so they would have control of that spike. Thankfully, though, even if Wardell died, he only had to go 2, so no real upgrade for GenG.
Here comes the lead into the C site, and it starts with drones, run it back. They dash in as well with Jet, so that's Wardell flying into position. Kills going back and forth in both directions, but it is going to be TSM who comes out on top of those fights. And now it's down to just 2 yet again here for GenG. They have a massive disadvantage as the C site has proved to be somewhat difficult for them to hold.
Planted.
In the first full buy round of the second half. Mikhail knows there's one. You can see the pings coming down. Waiting on the other side of that door is Hazed. It's all about who's going to be more patient here, and patience doesn't really have anything to do with it in the end. It just ends up being a battle of who's got more health. It's now down to Sean. He picked up an ace at the final round of the first half.
The second half, but TSM are looking much stronger now from that first half. They're finally warmed up and they're here to play.
No more charges left.
Player 1. Just a Sheriff to work with. Early intel gathered. Knows there's players moving towards C, but really what can be done? Kimon has a great flash that comes through, somehow gets the kill on the Drone, but Wardell goes on a shooting spree. GenG gonna get at least 1 kill as player 1 steps up with the Sheriff. But not exactly the home run they needed, it's more of a sacrifice bunt. It's gonna come down to a 2-on-3. You've got Sean moving into position. The Stinger does work out okay for the Reyna. Mikhail just behind. No surprise that Sean is one of the players in this position. He's been here before, and he's managed to find success for them in the past. Out goes the Leer. The Dart giving away their positions, but it's a great spike plant position coming in for TSM. Now there's weapon upgrades on the site, and you can see Sean's the first one to try to grab one. Recon Dart does go out, gives away positions. They know that there's no one on the site currently. It'll be a difficult scenario for them, and yeah, now it's even harder. They needed that
double peek to make sure that they won the fights. And again, it all comes down to aim and who's better at that point in that specific moment. And it was definitely Sean unfortunately not letting.
This is a great start to the round, though, for GenG as Quinn and Mikhail both get in on the action right off the bat. You've got the op pick coming in from the Jet, and then, of course, the Hunter's Fury finds success. So what do? They decide to go back to C. They've had success there in the past, and they're going to keep working that until it doesn't anymore. Cutler will pick off one on the attempted take. Player 1 with the trade. The most promising round we've seen for GenG in this half so far. The jumping really pistol pick things up, but now is maybe that opportunity for them.
Yeah, and even then, when you lose pistol and you lose third round, it's so hard for you to build your economy back. But now that they finally won that last round convincingly from dropping 2 players early into the round, and you see how Wynn's being a lot more aggressive with the operator and getting those first picks, that could be the momentum shifter for GenG to take this game back into their hands. But the thing is, both of these teams have 4 ultimates to work with this time, and TSM, because they won 4 rounds in a row, they have so much money to work with to get into the C side.
Careful now.
That soft C site exposes its even softer underbelly. There's no defense currently on the site, and TSM attempts to deliver a coup de grace to GenG. Now there's the ult being popped. Omen now getting back behind enemy lines. Both Omens actually using the ults, so both getting some intel on the play. The Owl drone flies right past Wardell, who's now trying to get inside that cyber cage to get away. And again, they'll escape towards long, then they'll play for the post plant. Now the spike isn't perfectly planted for them, so it's going to require a little bit more proactive effort as they've now gone onto the site, tapping the spike. Hunter's Fury comes out, but it's a little bit early as the pulses go downrange, but they're not actually on the spike as of yet. Pulses still coming out as they now jump onto that spike. They're about to get it potentially. That shock dart may have been enough, but
they never really wanted to peek out the fight against him. Like, well, Wardell's still watching the angle with the operator. Let's try to hold back for a bit. And as he dashes back into the side, the Owl drone continued forward, and they spotted a couple more. So it just became a spam fest through smokes, through clouds, shock darts all over the place. But in the end, with the sliver probably left in the defuse, we had to force Mikael off the spike too to try to win that 1 versus 1. And thankfully, it came down to time off that spike going off. But it was very, very stressful for TSM at that point. You saw the desperate shock darts that came through. But at least they have this map point. It's 12-6, and it's also a broken economy for GenG because
No more meddling.
Sabrosa picks off the first of the defense. Player 1 does do significant damage, and additional damage dealt as well to Cypher. Sabrosa finding another kill on the Hwin as he clips the bullets through the wall. Gimon, yeah, he'll hear it, spots out the positional change coming in from Sabrosa. And that's at least a nice opportunity for GenG to try and find a bit of an opening. Again, though, they're at the disadvantage, and even more so, I don't think they realize that Cutler has actually made it out onto C.
Yeah.
He's up
30
on top of
seconds
the
left.
stacks in the corner. The rest of the team is starting to make their way out, and they're going to secure the spike.
Spike
Now,
planted.
Gimon is stuck in a really difficult position because he's got players coming in potentially through doors. That's Drone, who's sitting on the back end of the play, and then he's got players waiting for him in the C side as well. So he really needs his teammates coming in from spawn to put pressure on TSM.
One enemy remaining.
But it's a trade-off and an advantage for TSM. So it's leaving only one more player, and he gets picked up by Wardell. And
Attackers
TSM
win.
will take this first map 13-6 on Haven versus GenG.
Coming in from Sean, but some of it was kind of trash damage in that it was after a round was pretty much already decided. We saw a similar thing yesterday when they were playing on Ascent, I believe it was, when Sean, or maybe it was even the day before, when Sean hit a just ridiculous 4K, almost getting an ace after the round was already lost. Like, Sean has just tremendous firepower, but I feel like sometimes GenG is still figuring out where to put him into their workflows so that he can maximize that potential. So we will move over to Ascent. GenG gonna have the Sova, the Cypher, Omen, Jet, Reyna composition, excuse me. Now Drone swapping away from Phoenix over to Breach. That's to be expected for TSM. But it looks like the rest of the team stays on their familiar agents. Hazed again playing as Cypher now, Cutler as Sova. So a little bit of a role swap there, and Sabrosa rounding things out as the Omen. Wardell feeling comfortable as the Jet. And it looks like we're going to see a B site execute here in just a moment. You've got Mikael waiting around the corner. Probably going to see Jet go in first. There's the arrow coming out, and the shock dart does a boatload of damage, no pun intended. As they try to work their way into the site, they're going to have to deal with the players inside Boathouse. Currently, there's still one more. It's Gimon. He's got a leaping target, but it's toe shots that work out for Gimon. Ultimately bested by Wardell, but the damage was dealt. Great damage as well being dealt by Wardell as the dink shot comes through.
30 seconds
They've
left.
got site control, but they don't feel comfortable going for the spike plant just yet.
Well, they have sort of an advantage right now in terms of positioning, especially with two heavy hitters with Sabrosa and Wardell. It can still be doable.
One
He's
player remaining.
but through the smoke, unfortunately, player 1 gets the headshot onto Sabrosa. Now there's only 13 seconds left. He has to commit for a plant at this point. This is
10
where they're gonna
seconds
jump in.
left.
He gets a nice shot there onto Win. Now there's 6 seconds. He's getting pushed by Sean, and Sean dispatches him, and GenG wins that round. And this is so he used the double flash, so he went probably shield and 2 flashes to allow his teammates to move in. But aside from that, GenG just did a very good job holding it back to Boathouse.
Well, this is what you expect to see when you've got a Sova on the B site. The early LMG pickup for Mikael will result in some damage coming through the wall. There's the Owl drone about to go around the corner as well. but actually cancels it as the shock or the recon dart comes through. Shock dart's gonna go down. Mikhail has to be careful. Decides to get back in the boathouse so he can open fire with the Ares, and he's got targets on both sides. Not sure which one to favor. Ends up gunning down two. Hayes comes in with a bit of a save towards the end, but with the amount of health left, it's unlikely we'll see much other than just a spike plant come in here. Sabrosa does have that LNG, and he's just spamming towards that dark cover. Got a little bit scary for the Jet, who is waiting beyond it. That's Quinn. GenG playing this one patient, though. Not going in gung-ho, knowing that LNG is in play.
Well, unfortunately, one's going to fall. The second one fairly soon. The right click does not connect. Unfortunately for Hayes, that's like 3 of them. But that third bullet missing just gave enough HP for a win to stay alive, get that last kill, and also the defuse to come in. They're running around just to pick up the right weapons, too. So they'll probably... Oh, actually, we're going to wait for Cypher to make it all the way back to A, so he can pick up his trap wires, most likely. But at that point, though, the round is going to come in here.
Early round, you can see the dark cover is going out. One of those being used on the boost spot. Kind of a combination smoke. Prevents someone from jumping up into that boost position, but also allows a leg shot as it's a bit of a one-way. Early on in the round, damage is dealt by TSM, and that'll see their Omen now watching from the sidelines. A disappointing start to the round for GenG. Drone. Gonna go ahead and lay that fault line down over towards A, and there was quite a few players in that region in general. They've got a lot of their weight shifted over towards A currently, and even one more piece potentially moving into position. Sova now leaving the B site and going back towards mid, where you've already got Sabrosa up pretty far. It's all about timing here. Does Sabrosa get beat as that smoke comes through? Sabrosa even spams inside the smoke with his 6th sense, but not quite able to connect on Mikhail, who's just waiting around the corner with a lowly ghost. Right now, it's Sabrosa who's pivotal to this round's success, even though they've managed to make it onto B and they'll get the spike plant out of this. He's got them in such a difficult position because he's
30
got them kind of
seconds left.
surrounded despite being one person. The players coming from Cat have to worry about him. The player coming from Spawn has to worry about him. Sabrosa has to puff his chest up and make himself big, but he doesn't do it in time. Cutler is there with at least a nice trade. And Mikhail is going to be looking to take things back in their favor, but it's a 2-on-4, and now just a 1-on-4. Mikhail swaps to the Phantom, but it won't be enough. TSM should take their first round.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate for GenG at that point. At least Mikhail gets the first kill onto Wardell, trying to build up his ultimate points too. And as he gets killed, that's going to be it. So they don't see the openings from Sabrosa at the mid side. Getting that early kill, lurking still towards that B side, breaking open that door, and even hiding back in the corner where Win did not expect for him to be. Was just him doing a great job on that work.
Great con dart goes out in mid, and spam from TSM does as well. Pours through that brick wall. There's no one on the other side to play catch with. Got Omen already up Cat. Wardell low on HP, shifting back towards Long with the rest of the team. Some resources now starting to filter over towards A. Got Gimon starting to sneak his way towards Heaven. Now the camera will be the first thing to spot them as they try to make their way around the corner. And there's the darts coming in on both sides. Quinn, masked off currently. Wardell pops the ult. Does he go for that vertical play up and over the wall? There it is. There's the updraft. You can see him start that motion, looking for a player up in Heaven, not quite going to spot them. There's the Hunter's Fury coming out. Mikhail drops Hayes. Drone is in with entry, but traded out immediately by player 1, who gets a bit of a lucky frag onto the next target. Leaping around on site, there's still one more present.
30 seconds left.
The shock dart's not going to be where it needs to be. It's now down to a 2-on-3, and TSM again with the disadvantage has watched it just evaporate.
Into the door side to close that door. You kind of get trapped into that where you could get wallbanged, where PL1 can play from the back of the site. And holding that camera, putting up his cyber cages, he wasted so much time to allow his teammates to come through, but not only that, still able to get 2-3 kills of his own.
My eyes are down.
GenG looking to continue to control the scoreboard as TSM is working with suboptimal hardware. Got a Sheriff in play. You got some rifle work as well, but got Sean holding Cat right now. His Reyna play has been so good in the past. The timing, oh, it almost backfires, but somehow able to escape. Uses the dismiss to get some distance from his targets. Cyber Cage goes down, Shock Dart lands right in player one's lap, so that'll put him
Get
down
out
on
of my
51
way.
HP. Has to be careful now as his teammates are starting to fall around him. They lost their cat hold as Sabrosa picked off Sean. Cutler's going to go down to player one with the Phantom, who's still in position. PL1 making himself big and mighty on that site, but not enough HP to survive the onslaught that came his direction. Mikhail. He's got the Odin.
30
And
seconds
drone
left.
is there. Now Wardell wants to get that spike plant, get that guaranteed cash. The
Last
flash
player
comes
remaining.
through. There's the flash and the peek, and oh,
On
never
the attack.
mind.
Just unfortunate for TSM trying to get into that site on that previous round. Even though they got control of the site, the spike was still at A main on the back of the drone, where that should have been his when he's the one that's trying to pop flash for his team. So unfortunate there, and I think at the same time though, GenG did a great job just to take control of the map right now. Like I said, usually you put this trap wire towards its mid side, and then you stack up on side and you work extremities. Well, they're using the owl drone to get extremities instead towards that B side, and then a triple foot towards A side, where they traded off 1-for-1. They're still battling towards this A main, where Sean finally decides to fall back. So that's, like I said, how you want to play it. You get a kill, you fall back, and you try to put numbers. And then even you fall back towards mid, you punish Sabrosa as he's trying to walk and take control towards mid, And Wardell, though, is still taking the spot after Sabrosa and still trying to clear up the area for TSM, trying to get some back control towards the side to start.
Sabrosa read pretty well there by his counterpart, Guimon, on the other side. Numbers advantage again for GenG. We've seen this time and time again for them as the clock continues to tick down lower and lower. One of the things we've noticed throughout the open qualifiers is how slow
30
Ascent
seconds
has
left.
been. A lot of these executes coming in and just the final seconds of a round. They're going to be shifting over towards B. There's still two players present. Guimon is one of them. There's the push through. Mikhail with the Odin is exactly
player
one.
standing.
Just mass damage being poured out, and the spike carrier is left
10
behind.
seconds left.
Wardell was the only one to actually make it onto the
Get
site.
Sort of control on extremities of maps, but then the action slows down. As the attacker, you still don't know where they're really stacking numbers or trying to get into the site because you fall back after that. There's no more map control. There's no more punishments that they could do. And Win goes for a nice timing shot through the cloud burst and lands onto Wardell to kick things off. And that's where, for example, when GenG was playing super well here versus Sentinels yesterday, was because of these occasions where you have players that are starting to actually land their shots, and these aggressive peaks and these high-risk, high-reward plays are paying off for GenG.
Sabrosa, again, able to get control of mid. They've been comfortable allowing that. If you've watched the last couple of rounds, GenG plays mid very passively. That's what allows Sabrosa to get up into this position, but it feels like they're not able to do anything with it. And a large part of that is that TSM is often getting into that spot, but they've got a man disadvantage, two-man disadvantage at times. There's the Hunter's Fury coming out from Cutler. He's looking to deliver some damage downrange, does a bit. The ult gets popped from Sabrosa. Tried to use the Hunter's Fury as a masking utility. So with that ult
30
going off,
seconds
it's so
left.
loud you sometimes don't hear the port. But there's a port coming in for the defense. That'll allow the Omen to get into the back of sight in the boathouse. That's now Guimon backing up this B-side defense. It's down to just two, and one of them, Sabrosa. He was so low on
Also,
HP.
with the ultimate that he did from the shadows at Pizza over to heaven was also kind of like the Scylla fake too. You throw through ultimates, you're trying to throw off your opponents that you're trying to execute towards the A side, but since he cancels his ult or he gets it canceled, he breaks the door of Pizza and they pinch it to B. But unfortunately, Mikhail, or GMD, sorry, also had from the shadows on his side and was able to support into Boathouse. This round, though, it is going to be an eco for TSM as they're trying to work as a group with only having Hayes lurking towards his B main. I don't know if it's going to be fruitful for them, as they do have actually Drone at least trying to work it out with Sabrosa. They could use him as the initiator to try to get this fight versus Sean, but Sean, with the amount of times that TSM has tried to push and take control of this catwalk, has been doing very well to deny them.
Sean, the timing almost there with that spam. Might be able to still find one. A refresh on the dark cover as Sean starts to spam through, but his targets have actually already gone past and in towards the site they go. Quinn starts getting spammed through the box. Doesn't stand a chance. Guimon actually able to do a little bit of extra damage, but now Sean is on damage control, trying to spin
30
it back
seconds
for his
left.
team,
Spike
waiting
planted.
for the remaining two to get into position. It's a promising look for TSM that puts them in the driver's seat on this A site, and they've managed to scoop up a bit of hardware to work with as well. Sean now shifting back towards short as his teammates get into position. The Al drone will be coming through. There's one right to their immediate right by the big tree. That's hazed. And just like that, it's all spun around. It's down to the breach. It's drone with a great first shot onto PL1. But a 3K for Sean neutralizes the 3K from drone. It will be a 7th round from GenG. And the damage is water under the bridge.
And then they push through the sliding door inside the A side instead to be able to get those entries. Some nice entries, by the way, from drone.
Wardell again get that off, but it's Quinn on the other side who draws blood first, tries to get away, but just not prepared for that close target. Sabrosa catches him off guard a bit. Shadow Step will allow Sabrosa to take out the window, and he actually decides to back off that play. Won't over-advance. The door was closed. They've got a bit of a split play going on right now as there's presence towards Cat and B. Hero Theft does come through, and that'll give away position. Sean with the leer trying to escape, gonna leer again just to guarantee a safe route away. Oh, almost clipped by Wardell, who was holding the line. But again, they've got control of A. They're just trying to figure out what they do here. This is a very awkward setup. The spike is across the map. Now, Sabrosa does pick off player one, and Wardell's found a pick as well. Again, this is just really awkward, but now the spike has made it over, and they've isolated these players. They had a one-on-one on B, but Sean has shifted away, knowing that the spike is actually heading A. That gives Wardell an opportunity to flank, and that results in Sean having to watch their backs, but they get around the bend just in time to dodge that, and Sean is just waiting for Wardell on the other side. So it's a 2-on-3 retake, very much winnable for GenG, but TSM has to make a mistake.
A big mistake on top of that, and Sean at that point doesn't even want to pop up the Empress. So they know at this point they kind of want to go for it, but only halfway, not fully commit. That's 1 and 2. He's looking for the third, and he gets it! They're going to be able to get this one on a 2 versus 3, make that even a 2 versus 4, and GenG turns it around. I can't believe that just happens to go A and B, but since the spike was down towards mid, and then Cutler was going to pick it up, they decided to go for A. Technically, it still should have been their round, but somehow Sean just came up.
Oh, Hayes has to be careful. He's trying to dodge the bullets pouring through the wall from the Odin. Does connect it first, rips his armor away. Puts it down on 11 armor, 81 HP. Hayes might be able to get the best of the Sova, who's waiting around the corner. The timing almost worked out for him. Decides to use that Cyber Cage to sneak in towards Switch, and it's well played from Hayes, but he's still got to be careful. That is an Odin on the other side of that wall, and we know how porous it can be. Door's gonna get shut, but it's Reyna to come through from spawn. Sean, the savior of the previous round, to bring things back to a 4-on-4. Player one is trying to defend short, steps too far into the dark cover. There's a Hunter's Fury coming out as well, sending some electrical damage down range. Damage was dealt there.
One enemy remaining.
Survival is guaranteed as it all falls down onto Wardell, who's got a Guardian now swapping over to the Vandal. And he's got the spike as well. Now he's got time to now shift that attack over towards this other site. Has to deal with the tripwire and dodge the damage.
Left.
The door is shut as well. Literally everything possible standing in his way, including that Odin in spawn. But at least TSM will get a spike plant out of this.
Spike planted.
But Wardell is going to have to make some magic happen, and it's without his trusty op.
Wardell did Ninja Warrior basically to find him making it into the site, and on top of that, it's going to be a Sova dart. Thankfully, he looks for the cover and is able to not be detected by it, and now he gets the first frag on to win, but immediately traded out by Mikael. How strong has Mikael been with this Odin so far on these retakes, on these holds, on the B side? But Sean is going to...
Mikael, you mentioned it. His Odin, it's not even just spam shots, it's quick flicks coming out from the LNG, not the type of play you expect to see. Double digits in the assists as well. He's gone for that double miss shot from Quinn, allows them an opening on the spike. There's a quick shot coming out from Gimon. Quinn gets redemption on the follow-up. Looking for another, but can't quite find it. You've got players pushing in close, the door's been shut, and now you've got the advance coming in from Drone, but it's all too late.
Wall bangs at the beginning too. Putting Hayes down to low HP on a couple of rounds as well.
Get out of my
really
way!
showing a very strong defensive performance. We'll see if they can continue it up on this second half. but we still have one more round to go here as Wardell popping everything that he can. On that previous round, it was a mixed blind that they had for TSM. Still, nothing comes out of fruition from their executions, and this time they're just hoping that Wardell could pop things up because he's got 2 players behind him, and there's that first attempt, but it's Sean with the 180 with the first kill and dismisses it.
Great damage coming through that wall from the Guardian spam. Put Sean way lower than one would expect. Sabrosa sneaking closer and closer to the stairs. The Lear goes behind him, and that's what allows that to happen. He'll pass the Lear, and there's the ult being popped. Does he get there in time to cancel it? No, he allows it to happen.
Yeah,
brilliant play coming in from Sabrosa, as that's now a 3-piece on the round.
Spike planted.
And the closest shot at success we've seen for TSM in this second half since Sean dashed apart the possibility of a second round just a few rounds ago. It's the 2-on-4, and they've got the spike planted on B.
Well, they have a lot of firepower. They have a neural theft too. They can get a kill early to figure out where the last 3 terrorists are should they get this kill. But a big rolling thunder comes out from Drone. That's going to hit Win. That's also going to hit player 1, and they're just going to get dismantled. Win back with the knives, and he's going to have to come up huge, but he does not.
4K round towards the tail end of that first half when it should have been another round for TSM, but we'll see what happens here. It's a desperate pistol round scenario for TSM. They would really like to pick up the pistol. Otherwise, again, just like we saw for GenG, the margin of error in that first map being slim to none would be the same for TSM here on map number 2.
Yeah, and with Sean getting picked off early, well, he spotted early from a recon dart, forces now GenG to fall back, but they're just trying to clear out areas. They're going to hear the drone coming through towards Garden, so that forces Cutler back from position, and they're actually going to try to move forward and capitalize on this. So eventually, we're going to split back into A, where there's only Drone, the first point of contact, playing all the way up heaven. So they're playing for some sort of a retake as well for TSM.
Cutler spamming through the dark cover.
Spike
There's
planted.
damage dealt currently to Cutler, and he's the lowest one on the battlefield, currently sitting below 50 HP. Getting that dangerous hue of red. Kills piling up for GenG, though, as Mikhail and Sean try to make things a little bit easier for them. Drone brings it back to a 3-on-3. There's that potential follow-up for Drone, just can't quite make it happen. Sabrosa swings wide, spot Sean, but there's
One
Ivan
enemy
taking out
remaining.
his counterpart, and
enemy
now it's all up
remaining.
to Drone, dropping into position. The fault line was right on the money. Here we go. The aftershock coming out. Is it going to be enough to move him? The position changes for Hwin, but it's going to be so difficult for Drone to try and spot this out in time. Not much can be done.
Unscathed and not even spammed. I think at that point, Drone was still trying to play super, not super, I was going to play a little bit more sneaky as he was trying to move into that smoke and get the kill later on. And if he shot earlier, well, his position would be given away. So in the end, though, it's still going to be Hwin that holds that hell at the A side, makes it 11-2. So you have to pretty much at this point try to go for some sort of force buy for the defenders of TSM, and you are looking for a desperate move. You are looking to push out towards the catwalk and mid at the same time. It's Miguel. He sees the bullets with through. A big flash that comes forward, and then finally we're getting the kills in from TSM with the classic on top of that as GenG is trying to retaliate. GMD stuck here at the mid side. Cyber Cage is up. He's hiding his own smoke, but Hayes still gets the kill. Player one's going to be the last one to go. He makes it a 1-versus-1 at low HP, though.
After going down, I think you said it was 10-2. They ended up losing 13-11. So TSM is no stranger to the comeback, and they can certainly make it happen, and that was the first piece right there. Giving themselves at least a small amount of wiggle room should they make a mistake throughout this half. We'll see what happens now as we've got GenG working towards A. You've got Cutler around the corner with a Spectre. The dark cover will come in, and a shock dart, depending on the timing, could do lethal damage. But they're going to start wandering past it. Spam's going to go out instead. Shock Dart's going to come in after the fact. And now the rotate's already in for TSM. They may lose site control for just a moment, but they're going to be playing towards the retake. It's a 5-on-5 retake on the A site.
Even a Shock Dart prevents anybody from pushing forward to hold that door. That's when that retake. They could actually just warp through and just run from both angles, and it works out. 3 of them to fall. We have the aftershock to come out too, and they're just getting wiped out. GMD is going to be the last one, only with the Sheriff. And again, all they really want was to try to get a spike behind. At least a nice shot there onto Sabrosa. Holy flash, get behind Drone, but Drone turns over.
Really a little bit of extra cash in their piggy banks after the buy comes through. It's Bulldogs, so it's not exactly perfect. but bringing in what they brought in from the previous round means it's an extra way to save some cheddar. GenG grouped outside of A currently. Cypher, player 1, all the way up in mid in the cubby. There is a 3-player hold on A currently, but it's mostly focused towards short. You've got Cutler, Drone, and Sabrosa all playing short, with Cutler being the only one really focusing towards A. A Lear and an Aldrone come out first. And there's the dark cover, no surprise there. Quinn will likely be the one to dash out, and there it is. They'll likely Paranoia as well off to the left at some point to guarantee access to the site being a little bit easier. Spike now just making its way on the site. Sabrosa has picked off one, but there's a trade coming out, and Sean chimes in as the Reyna, a dismiss peek. It can be so infuriating as a player to be on the other side of that one as you watch that ghost-like figure disappear, and just like that, the odds disappearing for both teams, actually. It's come down now to a 2-on-2 as Sean has done what Sean does best. There's the rolling thunder coming from the throne to try and make the retake a bit easier, but they still got to deal with Sean. He's already got 1 ace this series, make it 2!
Is to TSM so far.
Yes.
And TSM has to really find a way to adapt to this. Thankfully, because they won those 2 rounds, they could go for some weapons right now to just try to salvage the rounds and hopefully bring this into overtime. But GenG just looks so good. This is going to be one of those rounds where you're going to have Quinn is about to dash through and go above and try to see what's going to happen with that. So it starts off with the Hunter's Fury. He's going to get into the site right now, and Hayes has to hold up huge.
Hayes trying to do what he can, but GenG just flies out and explodes on the site. The neural theft giving them that remaining player position. Wardell, he's got a dart in his belly. The Aldrin flies past. Now the Spike has still not made it down and touched pay dirt yet. And Wardell was feeling saucy. Wanted that spam shot on the Spike planter, no less. There's a fault line coming in, but it's looking like this one's over. And in fact, it is. GenG looks fantastic on Ascent. OS shots. Quick flicks coming out from the Odin. So now we shift over and we see a bit of a juggle of roles as Sean has gone to the Raze, Gimon now away from the Odin, playing instead as the Breach. So it's a bit of an interesting juggle up of roles for GenG. We've seen this already from TSM as Hayes is loving the fact that Viper has come back into competitive play, as he's been a long-standing proponent for Viper use, and now there's every reason to bring her in. Right off the bat, though, we see GenG going for mid control, starting on the attack. Mid pretty much vacated right now as they've got Killjoy and Viper playing B, and they've also got support from Omen, who's back on the stairs. Here they go. There's the dark cover coming in. That'll help neutralize Sabrosa's position. The Paranoia might just be a little bit too late. The flash comes in, and Cutler doesn't stand a chance. Kills piling up in both directions as they trade blows back and forth. The turret also doing a little bit of extra damage, helping slow things down. But yeah, the Spike's been dropped. It's been lost in heaven. And you can see them actually starting to filter out as they need to find a new way to get back to it.
And
30
what I was
seconds
trying to
left.
say before we actually got into this game was GenG, they had to play a different style versus Sentinels, they had to play a different style versus Envy, and now they have to play a different style versus TSM that actually brings a Viper into their lineup as well. But with that, though, with them trying to push aggressively inside of this B side, it was perfectly held by the 2 players up
10 seconds left.
and Sabrosa being the main cause of that. But now it's back to a 1 versus 1 because drops into it a site. Should be an easy kill here for Wardell. He's waiting for it, and there's that kill.
To a certain regard, with Cutler now switching to Killjoy on this map. And I will say this, TSM has been one of those teams that is probably frustrating to play because of the fact that you don't really know what you're going to get from them until you get it from them, at least once in a tournament. They constantly change things up. Speaking of changing things up, it's a fastball play coming out from GenG, but it doesn't work out so well for them. They gain early access to the site, but it gets crushed as the defense is waiting for them. And it's now down to just 3 for GenG.
As well played there for TSM to hold things off to start. I mean, getting the poison cloud and then putting the snake back on the ground only allows Quinn to actually get through. But at the same time, you had Sabrosa that threw a Paranoia to counter up anybody else that's trying to push forward, so they had to fall back again. So they did a great job.
First full buy round coming out from GenG. We'll see if they can get past the defense, especially when Wardell has the op in his hands. Off the bat, they get a little aggressive in mid, starting to peek past the smoke that's down. It's a fault line coming out. Wardell's waiting on the other side of this one, and Quinn's got the read. Just knows the way that Wardell loves to play it. And now you've got an isolated fight with the Viper. But somehow, not that much damage dealt to Hayes. He comes out on top of the exchange. He's down on 72, sure, but look at the Jet who took the fight with him. Down in the red. Now that's a nice nade coming out as that catches Sabrosa going for a deep and dark cover towards lower mid. But it looks like we're going to see a shift from GenG. They're going to start working towards this A site, and it is a minefield, as there is a lot of utility set up from Cutler there, the turret. And of course, that digital molly, as it's been referred to, as it's been coined by Rivington, the nano swarm, the alarm bot. And of course, you've also got the breach here ready and willing to slow things down. There's the flashes coming out as they start to make their push. Drone has to go big, as they've already got one up in heaven. Nice flick over from Sabrosa with the off, but now they flash out as they try and slow this down even more. Drones in position with a Spectre, able to gun down Mikhail. The battle goes back and forth, but it's TSM who manages to bring it down to a 2-on-2, and the clock is on their side. 15 seconds left, and Drone's still here on the site. They haven't been able to score this fight.
10 seconds left.
GMD is on a 2 versus 1. Really, he just got to look into the side. He's looking to at least try to go for a but he hears the footsteps across the board, and that's it. They're going to win on something for TSM, and that is taking down on HP. So, and then after that, as you said, they had weaker weapons for TSM too. It was a bonus round that they had with the exception of that off there, that Wardell carried it into that previous round, but the Spectre from Drone.
Wardell wisely gets into a better position. The paranoia actually blinds Quinn, but it's nearsightedness, so he can still see that close target and ends up using the Blade Storm masterfully. Player 1 spots out the alarm bot waiting around the corner. They're going to shift over to A, where again they've got to contest with Drone, and I believe Drone was spotted by Player 1. Yeah, you can see the line hold right there, and a great dink shot through the wall from Player 1 means that this A site is now opened up. There is still some Killjoy utility here, including the turret and the nano swarms, but it's a little bit late on the deployment of those nano swarms, so they actually get past and take no damage. It will be a 2-on-3. Cutler and Hayes working together to try to get back into this A site. Got some damage dealt to that Cypher, who's currently sitting in the cubby on long. They take out the tripwire, and they'll be moving into position to contest with Player 1.
They found my wire.
Or at least he, unfortunately, actually does not get the kill onto Hayes. So Hayes dispatches him with the headshot, and they're moving inside that site. It's down to a 2 versus 2. They can't really do anything else. It's not that useful, but Hayes continues to walk forward, gets the headshot to win, and Cutler with the last one as well. No utility
better for them. But it was that 50-50 guessed right by Hayes, clearing the corner, and then more. Wardell's going to go for this aggressive play. We've seen it already, and it didn't work out in the past as Wardell tried to get around the edge of this dark cover just like this. It was spotted, but it's a quick shot that comes out. Doesn't matter. Quinn is there with the punish. Now, the Viper ult will be popped on B, and it's in the perfect position as well. So that'll potentially scare them away from the B site. And you can see they're already like, all right, well, I guess we have to go A. So they're going to start shifting towards A, where yet again, despite this Viper ult, they're putting a lot of faith on Drone to solo hold this.
Correct. And then they're just putting the weaknesses on openings. What they have on the defense is to actually just have the last 2 players just play up on the B heaven side so they could crossfire that area. So now that they're playing that a little bit more passively, they're giving that map control available for GenG to overtake B. But the thing is, even if GenG tried to split through ropes, they can't because an alarm bot is up there on the top of the ropes. So this is actually the best position GenG could be at to overtake this A side. Drone is probably going to spot it and call for the rotate, and then he's just going to wait for his teammates to come back. But until then,
30
GenG
seconds
is going to be
left.
able to just sneak into this area.
Drone is waiting. There's that first peek coming out from Drone that'll try and slow them down at least as the flashpoint came through. There's a nade right into his belly though, so he has to change positions as that paint-flooded shrapnel starts to stain his interior.
10 seconds left.
It's a 4-on-4 and the spike will go down. And Mikael's gonna pop the ult, potentially get some intel. No, actually going back towards long. Thought maybe we'd see that pop towards spawn more. There's a lot of players starting to work through from screens. You've got Hayes laying out the toxic screen to make it a little bit easier for them to get out onto the site. Sean's right around the corner. Paranoid at first. There's the flashpoint coming through as well. Wayne is there with the backup. Sean's got the big stop though, and it's now down to Hayes. It's a 1-on-4 coming through from Heaven. The first shot is right on the money. But there's
Heaven side where they could fight back. If they try to take A, just as we just saw before, we're gonna have Drone that's gonna throw some flashes. But when the rotate comes through, you have a toxic screen still available from Hayes to put the wall up, so they use the flashpoints later on and retake together as a team. But Sean was just too good, holding his angle from the elbow side as that raise and just pops him off again. You can't deny how Sean is good right now in this series. So despite them having the utilities for the retake, you just had to try to land your shot to get that team player from GenG, which they did.
Quick shots coming out from Huynh after we saw Cutler pick things up first. GenG bring us back to 3-on-3. There's the ult sending Sabrosa into attacker spawn. They're going to watch their flank though. They got to keep an eye on their 6. Now Hayes is still in position. With all the utility that's laid down from their Killjoy, they have some things they still have to work through, despite the fact that Cutler is watching, not currently alive. That utility still remains. Most concerning, obviously, the alarm bot, which is waiting right around the corner. Do they spot it? Well, no, it does get triggered, and it gives away the play towards Heaven. They've still got Sabrosa on the flank. They've got Hayes here as well, but Wardell, wait, excuse me, watching that line. Missed shot from Huynh, though, and a rare miss at that. That puts the attackers in a really weird position. They have to run to this B site, where now they're going to be wandering into Wardell, who's got the knives
10
out.
seconds left.
He's waiting for them. He's ready. Does he hit the clicks? There's the first one going his way. The smoke comes down, but Wardell with the jumping knife from the blade.
So that allows Hayes to just move into an angle where technically shouldn't have been won. Versus Huynh. Huynh missed this shot. It was a key shot that had to be hit at the same time too. Where that shot probably could have changed around where they could actually take the A side right after. But as it was missed and he loses a fight, Wardell was in a great position to get those 2 kills inside B.
Even strength, as I say that, Hayes gets a nice line of sight onto Huynh to change that. And Hayes still going big, Heaven. Wants a little bit more, sticks around too long. Needs backup from Sabrosa, who actually comes up empty-handed. So despite the early heroics from the Viper, Anti-Venom has been applied, and they've brought themselves to a 3-on-3. They're going to start working their way into the B site. They should be able to get across. Deep camera coming in, but there's that difficult ult to deal with. The Rolling Thunder, the showstopper as well, sends a rocket into spawn. A breach charge coming out as they start to work their way in. Cutler's got one going right around the corner. There's player 1 from up on top. Player 1's gonna find them all.
To clear on an angle, but the Omen actually used the shadow step to get back towards default. And as it gets into the plant, people are chasing after them, and nobody's looking or paying attention to PL1 that's able to play on the top of that catwalk and get those kills. Ace early this round, though, is getting tagged. He's forced to fall back, but it's going to be Sabrosa. A nice bait and switch, and an early 5-on-4 on his Eagle for TSM.
Early advantage for TSM. Not something that GenG wants to see happen. Trying to build up some momentum after falling a little bit flat the first few rounds. Again, though, it is split. It's still defense-sided. Maybe the numbers have changed a bit, but I would like to believe that that fact still remains the same. Now, they do have the Killjoy ult for TSM locked down. Gonna make it difficult for them to move. Now, player 1 has picked off Drone. You could hear the long-range Sheriff shot come out, but it was off the mark. And player 1's gonna be backing off. They're gonna be heading back towards B. There's Rolling Thunder coming into that B
30
site.
seconds
Paranoid
left.
as well. Flashpoint in. They're not taking anything for granted. They're gonna take this just as if this was a full buy coming in from TSM.
Spike planted.
And they'll get the spike down as well. Now Sabrosa's got a good line of sight, and that's player one falling. That's a rifle pickup for Sabrosa, a player you don't want to give that to, but gets caught going for the paranoia as Iman is ready. Now there is that Killjoy ult lockdown being popped from Cutler. But they can get away from this one and still play towards the spike. You can see their Jet now escaping into B main. They'll try to make it back out. Spike is open, planted for them. Hayes with a nice shot onto Mikhail. And that work down from the Viper makes it difficult. They're going to keep working their way in, but it's come down to a 2-on-2. The spike being stuck. They've actually managed to make it work. The thrifty round comes through.
Killjoy ult, where they know it covers the whole site, and everybody has to run back towards B main. And as they run back through B main, Hayes puts up the toxic cloud. So that, or the poison cloud rather, that doesn't allow anybody to push back forward and also getting decay when you're looking for the kill. So that was beautiful in that eco.
Right off the bat, there's an early fight that gives both teams a different number of players remaining. It's a 4-on-4. You've got the Viper Pit again for TSM. We'll see where they decide to use it this time, if they use it at all. Drone in position, as always, but there's some backup this time around. We've talked about how Drone was often isolated and alone on this site, but this time around, he's got support. It's Cutler who's in position. The flashbang's coming up from Drone, trying to help slow things down. Look at the flashback utilization from Sean. He flies into position, but he wasn't prepared for this. Was not ready for help when he was waiting in the corner. Great flash as well coming out from Drone. And now it's down to Kimon. Can't really do much to survive in the round.
And even if it's the same storyline as, for example, TSM and Cloud9, even a 10-2 could still amount to a comeback from GenG. But so far, what I really like here from TSM is the rounds where they just don't want to give any pacing to GenG. They always push so aggressively just at that mid side, where Wardell gets a kill or two before he dies, and it's good enough because it gives that information away. This time, they tried to go aggressively from the A side on GenG, but Wardell rotated from the rope side and was able to win that fight versus Win that went for the right click with the knives and didn't pay off. The rest of them are on eco, and he's on low HP, at 2 HP right now for Win. So it's going to be very hard for GenG to try to rotate back from ropes over to this B side.
Enemy kill.
Wardell picking off Win, spamming through the wall, actually gets the flick back with a straight transfer. It's Sabrosa who comes in and offers up some support, but it's a 3K on the round for Wardell. Probably feeling like he didn't need it, even though he's certainly received a heaping amount of damage on the round. Mikhail has the spike, but unfortunately also has a Guardian. Not exactly the weapon of choice for most players currently.
30 seconds
Spam
left.
shots through, not going to connect. And now he's trapped, trying to fight his way out of this scenario. There's one coming in on the flank as well. You can still have Paranoia blow past. Nice shot onto Wardell, who is very low on HP. Mikhail does get scratched up as well in the fight. Paranoia going back,
as I just mentioned before, but just to be able to add these 2 rounds, these last 2 rounds of the half could definitely help out. And they have 2 ultra just to gain information pretty much more than trying to get entries with for this attacker side team. So Wardell is getting full time to be pushed back, but he's looking to trade his avenged fallen teammate, but he misses a shot unfortunately. So that's a lot of mid control available here for GenG that they can split wherever they want. And because of that, you see Wardell rotate right away on Heaven's side because you did pop your Viper's Pit for Hayes, and you can't cover Heaven. So Wardell this time has to come up huge again at Heaven's side.
Wardell getting closer and closer, inches towards the targets, pulls the knives out, but just can't quite line up the blades. And now Hayes hiding in that thick cloud of venom, waiting for the push to come through. Will pick off the first target. That's Sean going down. Hayes is playing this one masterfully and illustrating just how brutal that ult can be. Hayes now sneaking into the site, hits one right around the corner. And it'll come down to this. It's player one as that decay takes him down to 1 HP. He'll start to recuperate some of his health, but not all, as he took quite a few bullets in the side.
30 seconds left.
77 HP and 30 seconds to work with. You've got Breach in Heaven, and Killjoy was spawned now, going back up those stairs to join their teammate. It's Drone and Cutler on the other side.
I have retrieved the spike.
And player one has picked up the spike. Now working straight towards them, wanting to just take the fight to their doorstep, and Drone is waiting.
Exactly where you are. So as you move faster inside the pit too, he gets the second one to GMD, but he turns all the way around over onto the other side where the Viper pit stays up because there's a meter still on the ult. So well done for him. A great hold on his side to allow his last team to easily get the kills. And look at that, he doesn't even care anymore. Top Ryan going with the surprise attack, getting 2 kills of his own.
Exactly
and getting
where
up
you are.
the last 2 guys are moving inside the side.
Player standing.
Stealing sight.
Quick shot comes in from Wardell just before the Rolling Thunder hits. Quinn just blind for days there, 69 HP.
And that's the thing though, right? You saw that 2K from Sean, and then we mentioned him with the 1 kill before, but I think that's it. They did such a great job containing Sean as well, not allowing him to pop off as much as we called how good he was in the first 2 maps, but that's it. I think he was stuck here at the bottom with only 3 to 5 kills, maybe even 3 kills to end that half, and those are the 3 kills that we mentioned
Spike
before.
planted.
But this time though, it's going to be TSM not letting go of that gas pedal, and they're moving forward inside A, 4 plant already, and Wardell's going to be the one pushing forward with the frenzy. A nice fault line that's going to daze Quinn, and Wardell goes for the kill. Counter smokes or counter flashes as well, and GMD retaliates back. One spotted stuck inside that counter pot at L, but they're still doing a great job to clear it out. Wardell's in the corner where he has to peek out, and it gets picked off. It's a 2 versus 2. The spike is still planted for TSM as the wall comes up here for Hayes. He retakes the position of Wardell where he fell, but his teammate falls at the same time. He's on a 2 versus 1. He's clutched it before, but he cannot do it this time. GMD kills him, and GenG gets the defuse, maybe?
They got it. It's going to be close, but they certainly got it. 1.63 left.
Hopefully it is, because we've seen this situation before when, you know, they only had pistols in their hands. Thankfully for TSM though, or at least for GenG, it was Sheriffs that we had. Well, actually Sabrosa has one, so he could actually open things up right now as he's trying to lurk towards his mid side, and that jiggle peek is coming from Sean, but it's missed. So thankfully the jip has been given. They spotted Sabrosa, and the rest of them will potentially try to work towards this A side.
Mikhail right around the corner, hiding behind that toxic wall. It's Mikhail first with Quinn, and jeez, Mikhail mops up.
He only has Spectres to work with too, because he can't really go into upgrading right away, because they would actually lose. If they lose the round, they're going to be broken the rest of the game pretty much, and the chances are going to be even greater for TSM to take the series. So they have to play a bit more aggressively. And Mikhail starts that one, and Hayes picks him off. But at least, oh no, not at least actually. It was a nice combo from a drone and to Sabrosa to get the flashpoint, for Sabrosa to get through, and more map control. So unfortunately for them here, they lose 2 players early, and Sean's already down to 9 HP. The chances look super grim here for GenG to try to take this round on this bonus.
Lot of weight being shifted towards A currently from TSM. Toxic screen goes down. Sabrosa is a lurking threat at the bottom of ropes as the team now starts to make their way out. There's the nade coming in. That's the tell that there's one around the corner. Sean is so low on HP, it's an easy kill. Came on around from elbow, but not really able to do much there. Player one is now the last one standing.
So that's going to keep GenG guessing for a bit. They're looking to get some mid control early in the round here with Quinn and with Sean, where Quinn's trying to move forward with that Phantom, but the fault line puts him out of position, and he's still going to push down after that and try to regain momentum for GenG. The rest of them, though, for TSM, are looking to push towards this B side, where it has to be a big play from PL1.
Bot coming back. Placing alarm bot.
Sabrosa picking off Quinn,
Cover going out.
giving the advantage to TSM. Drone's pretty low on HP. Mikhail just times it well and executes his doppelganger to bring us back to even strength. But again, with the HP, what it is, it's going to be tough for Drone to have much of an impact. It's all going to be in the backup from Drone. The flashes, and of course, the fault lines that come through. There they go, working their way out onto the site. The cyber cage doesn't slow him down as Wardell blows right past it. Mikhail has the presence of mind to keep his eyes on the prize being that section of Kabi back behind him. It's now a 3-on-2. TSM looking rough currently as Cutler is really going to have to do a lot of this
30
fighting.
seconds
Drone
left.
with just 11 HP takes down another target. That's Sean falling as well. That's huge in that not only does his rifle deal damage, but as the raise, he's also got
One
potential
player
range
remaining.
shells.
One enemy
It's come down
standing.
though to a one-on-one. Cutler's on 11 HP as Mikhail quickly picks up the frag onto drone, goes for the tap plant, tries to bait
10
out
seconds
the play.
left.
But Cutler has to dedicate to the plant in a moment. He's still playing with that clock, trying to bait out his opposition, and now he goes for the dedication. No, he's baited him out!
insane.
It's a huge play! A 5-head 900 IQ play coming in from Cutler.
Towards heaven or towards spawn, and they know how desperate GenG is to win these rounds. They know he has to press forward. They don't want to let TSM to get a spike plan or even let alone win the round. So he knew that Mikhail was going to push out, and somehow, or GND rather, and somehow he just gets that big play from Cutler to clutch that 1-versus-1.
That is brutal. There's a nice pickup as well coming in from Wardell, spamming through the sign.
Blocking sight.
But there's trades coming back in for GenG, working with suboptimal machine guns of the sub-machine gun variety, and it's worked out for them. Now Huin's in position, there's the flashpoint through the cloud burst, making it hard to spot his target, but Wardell eventually breaks past that spiraling smoke and brings us to this point.
One enemy
Mikhail
standing.
going big right now, but it's all up to Sean. Sean has been lights out all series long. He's got one target beneath, but no!
Attackers
The ball
win.
takes the stinger and sends its recoil flying. TSM will walk away